Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share 10 British habits that I've acquired since moving to the UK, and this is actually part 3. I've done a couple of these videos before and you guys seem to really like it. So I was thinking today about a few more British things that I do that I never used to do when I lived in Brazil, and I wrote them all down, so I'm going to share them with you. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you're new to my channel, I'm from Brazil and I've been living in the UK for 10 years now. I'll leave a playlist below of all the videos that I've done on this topic, because there's a lot more background of how I got to the UK, how I got a British accent, how I learned English, because English is my second language. So if you want to know more about that, then go and check out that playlist. And today's video is sponsored by Skillshare. You guys know by now how much I love Skillshare. I use it on a daily basis. I subscribe to their premium membership and I get so much value out of it. But if you're new to Skillshare, it's an online community for creatives or people looking to learn a skill. There's so many classes for you to explore on Skillshare. Whatever you're interested in, there's something there for you to learn about. I'm particularly interested in productivity, video editing and design, and these are the things that I tend to go to Skillshare for. I learned Adobe Illustrator on Skillshare before taking my professional qualification on Adobe Illustrator, and I also learned Adobe Premiere Pro from beginner to advanced, all on Skillshare, and now I'm looking to develop these skills. And the latest class that I'm taking is actually here on my computer. I'm just gonna pull it up. It's called Fun with Faces, Create a Stylized Digital Portrait by Charly Clements, and it's a really good class if you are kind of like an intermediate, beginner to intermediate illustrator enthusiast or professional. She actually does the class on Procreate, but I use Illustrator and it works just as well, because what's interesting about it is that you're learning the concepts of creating portraits, and yeah, I'm just fascinated by design in general, and I tend to go to Skillshare a lot for design classes and to learn more about it. I find myself recommending Skillshare to a lot of my friends when they ask me how I learned to use Adobe Premiere Pro or InDesign or Illustrator. But I think it's a great membership in general to have, even if you're not interested in design or photography or videography. There's so much on there, from languages to music to inspiration, productivity. The membership will cost you less than $10 a month. But if you want to try before you buy, there's a link in the description box of this video which will give you a free trial. So the first 1,000 people who click on this link will get a free trial of Skillshare. So you can try, see what you think of it before committing any money to it. I hope you make use of this offer, because it is a brilliant opportunity to start using Skillshare and seeing what it's all about if you're new to it, and if you've heard before but never had an opportunity or an incentive to sign up, then this is your opportunity. And now let's get straight into the video. Right, so let's get started. A British habit that I've acquired since moving to the UK is kind of waving to cars when they let you through. It's not like a proper wave, it's just like hand. And if you're a Brit or if you live in the UK, you'll know what I mean. It's just when a car lets you through, it's like a sign to say thank you for letting me through. But it's so common in the UK. Some people flash their lights, but most people just like raise a little hand from inside the car, and it's just a polite way of saying thanks for letting me through. Same for when you're a pedestrian crossing the road. If someone lets you through, you just raise a little hand to say thank you. I never used to do that in Brazil, but now it's such a big part of me, and it's actually kind of developed into a minor pet peeve of mine when I let people through and they don't put their hand up to say thank you or anything. It's become such a big part of what I do now. I don't even think about it, I already do instinctively. Number 2 is something that's actually quite a shame now that I think of it, and it is doing less than I would normally do for fear of being inconvenient. So when I lived in Brazil, if I were at a friend's house and my friend was, I don't know, maybe doing the dishes, I would just go and help her without her asking me or without saying, do you need any help? I'd just stand there, maybe dry the dishes and put them away for her whilst we were chatting, and that's just a normal thing. It was kind of considered the polite thing to do. If you're at someone's house and they're doing like housework or they're busy doing something, maybe folding laundry, you go and sit down and you help them. If they ask you if you want a cup of tea, you offer to go and make the cup of tea. it was just the done thing. But since moving to the UK, I've kind of not done these things because I think here there's a lot more of a not stepping into people's personal spaces kind of culture, and that fear of being inconvenient stops me from doing that. I never want people to feel a bit like I'm being rude or that I'm, you know, overstepping the mark. And yeah, it just doesn't feel natural here to just go and do these things without being invited. But yeah, I definitely do a lot less, but it's always on the back of my mind that I'd like to help, but I'd like to be doing that. And with my closest friends, I obviously ask if they want any help, or just, you know, like tell them about this little quirk about my cultural reality compared to how I do things in the UK. But with just friends that I'm getting to know still, I definitely don't do that, as in Brazil I would. Maybe it's a bit weird, but I don't know, I think it's quite nice. And I'd like that to be the norm here in the UK, but I don't think it ever will be. Number 3 is buying rounds at a pub. In Brazil, first of all, there aren't many pubs. There's just bars and restaurants, but that applies to everything. When you're out with friends, here in the UK, I've become so used to buying rounds. We never used to do that in Brazil. We either just bought our own drinks, or I don't know, you pay for someone's drink, but you don't expect them to pay another round. It wasn't like a thing. Like, rounds are not a thing in Brazil, but here it's something that's, you know, when you're out with a lot of friends and you know you're gonna be drinking more than one drink, whatever you're drinking, then you buy the first round and your other friend buys the next round, someone else buys the third round. That way it saves everybody having to go individually to the bar and buy rounds. I don't know why I'm explaining how rounds work, but in case you're not from the UK and you're watching this video and you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the way rounds work. But yeah, I didn't used to do that in Brazil, but it feels really natural to do that now here. Number 4 is thinking about time in terms of school terms. It might be because I'm a mum and I have 2 kids and everything goes around school times and times when kids are in school, when they're off school. But I find that just in general in the UK, a lot of things are referred to in terms, and like half term, we don't have half terms in Brazil. There is no such thing as like a week in between terms where you have some time off. But yeah, everything just goes around terms. And before I was a mum, I think it was more around seasons. So you'd say, oh, in the summer we'll do this, or oh yeah, we'll get this sorted in the autumn. Instead of saying I'll get this done in October or I'll get this sorted in March, it's like you refer to time passing in seasons, and nowadays much more in terms, like, oh, in the autumn term or in the winter term, this is what I want, when I want things done by. So let me know if you do that too, if you're from the UK, if you find yourself referring to things in terms of terms or seasons rather than just actual months or I don't know, something else. Number 5, I've developed a love for country walks, and I never used to go on country walks in Brazil. I don't know if that's a general British thing, but I think the Brits do love their country walks, going out in the woods, going for a really long walk, and always ending at the pub with a drink or a meal. It's one of the things that I would miss the most if I didn't live in the UK, is this culture of walking in the countryside and then going to the pub for a drink or a meal. I found that country walks saved us in this period where we've been a lot more restricted to where we can go and what we can do, and I just really love a good country walk with our Wellington boots on and just going out in the woods and exploring. Number 6 is worrying about when it's bin day. This might not be exclusively British. I know everybody in the world has to put their bins out. So if you're not from the UK or if you don't live in the UK, let me know if you have this same weekly worry about bin day. This seems to be like the plague of my life, in like on a weekly basis. When is bin day? I never know when it is. I never know which bins are out. And also obsessing over checking your bins and making sure that a random glass bottle hasn't ended up in your plastics recycling box, because they won't take your recycling box if everything isn't where it's supposed to be. This is definitely something I didn't experience in Brazil. Recycling here is a lot more organized than it used to be in Brazil. It might have changed. I've been living here for 10 years, but I don't think it's to that point yet. But yeah, the whole bin situation we've got where we live. We've got like a bin chat, proper like chat on WhatsApp about bin day, bin collection. Yeah, it's weird, but I'm fully on board with it. Bins take over our lives. Number 7 is something that I'll tell you what it is and then I'll explain. A tiny little mild obsession with closing doors. It's not something I ever experienced in Brazil. Closing doors, I only used to close doors if someone asked me to close them or if I wanted some privacy. And by that I mean like closing the door of the living room, closing the door of the dining room, kitchen door, bedroom door. Unless I was getting changed, my doors were always open at home. As here in the UK, I started experiencing this before it became a habit for me. So my husband used to always say to me, close the doors. And I never used to close the doors and I never used to get why. But I don't know about everyone else who has this habit. In this house, it's all about keeping the heat in, especially in the winter, making sure that if you close the doors, that room is going to stay a bit warmer, that as if you leave the doors open, all the heat will escape the rooms. I've actually had to train myself to internalize this habit in the winter in order to keep rooms a bit warmer. But naturally, I think I prefer doors open because I love natural light and just letting light in, airing out rooms as much as possible. But I do find myself when I'm at other people's houses making sure I close doors because I know it's something that will annoy some people when doors are not closed. And one thing that my mum does when she comes here to the UK is she tends to open a window to air out the room, and like I can see my husband's face when she's opening a window thinking about all that heat from the radiator that we've just paid coming straight out of the window. It's a little bit obsessive, but I kind of get it why. And for him it's a habit. He grew up like this, knowing that, you know, you're paying for your heating, so you've got to keep the heating in, keep the rooms warm and keep yourself warm. But yeah, I feel like this is a habit of mine now, but it's not something that I'm fully on board with. Number 8 is toning down my enthusiasm. As a Brazilian, I feel like my natural state is overly enthusiastic and bubbly and like lively when I'm talking to people, as you can see by the hands, like I do a lot of hand gestures and facial expressions, but I've had to tone that down a bit since living here in the UK, because I know that if I say like that hi to a Brazilian, I'll get the same hi back, but here in the UK I'm likely to get a little hi, and yeah, it kind of makes me feel a little bit like over the top. I think I started toning that down pretty early on in my first year of living here in the UK. I just felt a little bit like maybe I shouldn't be overly enthusiastic, but when I meet people who are enthusiastic, I kind of go back to my normal way of being. But just in general, like everyday life, if I see people out in the street that I know, I just go hi, a little hi, but inside of me I just want to go hi. Let me know if you're like that as well, and if you'd find really weird if people were super enthusiastic with you in the street. Number 9, it's something that I'm still learning, but it's counting thousands in hundreds. So if someone says to you that something costs £1,500, here you might hear that as £1,500, and at first it made no sense to me, and it was such a struggle to get to a point where I am now, where I understand it, but it still is a thought. Like I have to actively think of what £1,500 is and convert it into thousands. So yeah, it doesn't come naturally to me to say £1,500 instead of £1,500, and it kind of confuses my brain a little bit when people tell me that I gotta pay £1,500. I immediately kind of process it as £15,000 instead of 1,500. Not that I buy that many things that cost that much money, but you know what I mean. Yeah, the whole hundreds in thousands, no, thousands in hundreds really confused me, as you can tell. And finally, number 10 is not letting rain ruin your plans. In Brazil, rain is a perfectly good excuse for cancelling any kind of outdoor plans. No one would question you, as here in the UK, if you use rain as an excuse, you're probably going to be indoors for a lot of the year because it rains a lot here. So I don't use rain as a cancellation excuse anymore, unless it's really like raining super hard. We still go out to the zoo, to the park, on a walk. out in the garden. You know, I used to use this excuse with my kids and say, oh, we can't go to the park because it's raining, and their immediate response would be, oh, we put our coats on. And what do you say to that? You go, fair point, put our coats on, umbrellas, wellies, and off we go. So yeah, rain is not an excuse anymore, and people still go out and do whatever they need to do in the rain, because if they didn't, they'd spend a lot of time cancelling plans and staying indoors. So yeah, these are my 10 things that I've started doing since living in the UK. Like I said, if you enjoyed this video, go and watch my 2 previous ones. There's 10 more, I think, in one and 13 more in the other. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out the Skillshare offer in the description box below. And if you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified when there's a new video from me. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!